Here we go.
Nothing's worse than feeling that hard hit, starting the fight of your life, and then just like that, snap. You're left with a broken line and a lost fish. And more often than not, the real culprit is your knot choice between your leader and your main line. In today's video, we're talking about two critical setups that can make or break your catch. The Bimini Twist with an Albright knot and the FG knot. They're the most reliable ways of connecting your main line to your leader to ensure that when you hook up, you're in control. But not every fishing situation is the same. That's why today we'll be breaking down the key differences between these setups so that you can decide which knot is best for each situation. I'll also share my personal preference and why, after decades of fishing, I lean towards one setup over the other. Before we talk about the specific knots, let's quickly go over what these knots actually do. Whether you're targeting big fish offshore or casting for smaller species inshore, you're going to need a strong connection between your leader and your main line. The leader, usually made of thicker mono or fluorocarbon, provides abrasion resistance, while the main line, often a braided line, offers strength and sensitivity. Connecting these two lines securely is essential to avoid losing fish during the fight. That's where the Bimini Twist with an Albright Knot combo and the FG knot come into play. Both are popular choices for anglers, but each has its strengths and weaknesses depending on the situation. Let's break down these knots and help you decide which one is best for your fishing style. So first off, we're going to start off with the Albright and Bimini combo. The Bimini is what creates the double loop knot to tie that to the leader using the Albright knot. So there's two knots there, whereas the FG knot is a single knot by itself. There is no doubling up of the strands. Now, we won't go into details into how to tie these knots. If you want a refresher, you can go back and look at some of our other blogs. So one of the pros of the Bimini Twist and Albright combo is the fact that once you get them down pat, you can tie these knots extremely fast as you can tie a single FG knot, or even quicker once you get really good at it. Now, the beauty of this kind of setup, having the Bimini Twist double and the Albright leader knot is good for joining mono. You can't use the FG knot when you want to join monofilament to a mono leader, simply because you need the braid to bite into the heavy mono. And that's what gives the FG knot its holding strength, but you can't do it with monofilament. So that's when you do have to use the Bimini and Albright combo. This method is also very strong. The Bimini double is actually one of the strongest you can actually tie, especially because it has that concertina effect. So it stretches. The more weight you put on it, the more give it has. So it's an extremely good double knot to use. Some of the cons using the Bimini and Albright combo is the fact that it's a little bit bulkier than an FG knot, so it won't travel through things like micro guides very well. And it's also said that the FG knot is actually stronger than the Bimini and Albright setup. And some sources say that the FG knot is up to 30% stronger. One of the other problems with tying the Bimini knot is the fact that when you get towards the end, you need 3 hands. So you've got 2 hands compressing the twists up and the other hand tying off the knot, but you also need to keep this main line tight at the same time. So I've seen people tie themselves up in all sorts of knots trying to tie this knot, but there's really just one simple hack, which we explain in this other blog. Now, let's talk about the FG knot. Again, I won't be showing you how to tie it here, but you can find a full tutorial on our YouTube channel if you want to master it. As for the pros of the FG knot, as I've kind of mentioned, it's very streamlined. There's no catching on your guides whatsoever, especially micro guides. That's why it's used in jigging purposes a lot. So nothing's getting caught up on your guides. Whereas over here, the Albright knot will actually get a little bit clunky through your guides. It's also known for its superior strength. It is extremely strong, especially when tied tight and correctly. I have seen them come undone. Other people have brought them out on charters with me and they've come undone. So the most important thing tying the FG is making sure the knot remains tight and the braid bites down into the mono or fluorocarbon. That's what holds the knot all in one piece. As for the cons of the FG knot, they are very hard to tie for beginners. And like I mentioned before, you must get them really tight. If you don't, they're going to come apart on you. So not only lose your good fish, but you could also lose your lure and everything. There are a number of different ways out there on YouTube of tying it. Sometimes they're using little machines and all sorts of stuff, but I like to tie it tight in my hands. That way you can feel how tight the knot's actually coming up. But you can see that in another blog that we have. Another con is the fact that you can't tie this mono to mono. This is only a braided fishing line to monofilament leader knot. If you're going to use a wind-on leader system using mono, you must go back to the Bimini and Albright combo. And the reason why you can't use it is simply you can't get monofilament to bite tightly into your monofilament leader. Braid can, it's abrasive, and when it pulls down tight, it actually cuts into the mono very finely, and it gives it like a footprint so it won't come undone. Now, you might be wondering which knot I prefer and why. After years of being a charter guide taking thousands of clients fishing, I've stuck with the Bimini Twist and Albright Knot combination. And over 30 years of guiding, I've seen plenty of FG knots fail, especially with clients who don't tie it quite right. But with the Bimini Twist and Albright, once it's tied properly, you can rely on it every trip. A lot of anglers get caught up in the strength of the FG knot. And while it may be technically stronger, here's the truth. The strength of your knot doesn't really matter as much as you think, especially when you've set your drag correctly and maintain your gear. If your drag's sticky or you're using poorly maintained gear, that extra knot strength won't save you. If you want to learn more about setting your drag and keeping your reel maintained, I've got a separate video that goes into all the details which you can check out. For me, the speed to get back in the water is what matters most. When the fish are biting, you don't want to be wasting time trying to tie a complicated knot. With the Bimini Twist and Albright combo, I can have the leader tied on quickly and I'm back in the action. That's why I still prefer it over the FG knot. And a lot of my jig rods nowadays don't have micro guides on them for that particular reason. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what works best for you. If you're all about maximising strength and don't mind expending that little bit extra time, then the FG knot might be your go-to. But if you're like me and you want to tie a knot that's quick to tie and reliable every single time, then the Bimini Twist Albright combo is tough to beat. Now, I'd love to hear what you think. Which method do you prefer? Have you had success with the FG knot, or are you sticking with the Bimini Albright like I am? If you want to take your fishing skill to the next level, make sure to grab some of our free resources like our gear and tackle cheat sheet or strategies workshops. And for those looking to get a little bit more advanced, check out our online courses where we dive deeper into techniques that can help you catch more fish in less time. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on future tips and tutorials. Thanks for watching and tight lines.